Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Hi. Hello to everyone. This is Baby Child and Co. Welcome once again to our usual live broadcasts that we've been having, which have been very informative, very educative. And today, the one who has been interviewing is going to be interviewed. Yes. Baby Child and Co, as you all know, is a wellness health website program that's being run by Dr. Siriam Wadri, and it is aimed at empowering we mothers, caregivers, fathers on how to make the right choices for our children in terms of their health and then their wellness. Yes. So today we have in our seat Dr. Sarah Modri. She's a pediatrician, well seasoned, very knowledgeable, and she's a pulmonologist fellow. If I say pulmonologist, I mean someone who deals mainly with the respiratory system of our children. And I'm sure that's one of our major concerns because we have our coughs and colds and our runny noses and our chest infections. So today she's here to give us an in-depth interview on pneumonia, and our focus now is mainly on prevention in all aspects of health. Our focus now is prevention, so we are going to focus on pneumonia and how to prevent pneumonia in our children, so how to make sure that it doesn't even happen in the first place. So before we kickstart, I'd like Dr. Wadi to say a few words to us today as she is in the hot seat. Yes, Dr.
Good
Wadi.
afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Senna, for the very kind introduction. Um, I think this is a good place for me to be in the hot seat because I like pneumonia. It's the bread and butter of what I've done for the past 1 year and a half almost. And so I'm happy to share my insights on pneumonia prevention, especially. And I'm happy to have you interview me. And I'm happy for my audience to join as well.
Yes. So if you have joined, please, I would encourage you to share the link. I mean, this topic is very important. Share the link, share to your platforms, share to your mom's pages, share to your parents' pages. Let's ask questions, let's get interactive, and let's learn from the experts on pneumonia. So we are just kickstarting. So remember to click that share button and share to someone. And please, let's get this session to be interactive. Ask questions. I know a lot of you have dozens of questions on your mind about pneumonia, and I believe everybody's child at one point in time has been diagnosed with pneumonia. So let's get our questions ready and to engage our doctor. So, Dr. Wadri, pneumonia, I mean, the word pneumonia, what comes to mind? Can you give us a brief overview of what it is?
So just let me have a second to share to my page, and then I will answer that question for you.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Please share
So
the link. Share the link. Just click the share button and let someone benefit from the interaction we are going to have today. Yes.
all right. So pneumonia is it has to do with the lung. Anytime we say anything pneumo, it's lung. Um, and pneumo actually means air because the lungs are filled with air. But for me, as a pulmonologist, what comes to my mind when I think about pneumonia is children that are sick and children that are dying. I say this because in the whole world, pneumonia is the one disease that has the greatest percentage of deaths. If you take all the deaths that occur in our children, the
Mm,
top is pneumonia. And even when we are not talking about death, but we are talking about illness, days spent in hospital, days that mothers have to leave work and sit with their children in hospital, the commonest cause is pneumonia. So when I think about pneumonia, I'm thinking about children who are sick parents who are struggling, and that is why, for me, talking about prevention is very, very important. And remember, I said the whole world, pneumonia is the topmost killer of our children and the topmost thing that brings our children to hospital and gets them admitted. The sad part of it is that it's the whole world, but we in poor countries bear the burden. Most of the countries that have the countries that have the highest levels of pneumonia, they are all poor countries. Most of them are in sub-Saharan Africa, a few Asian countries, but so we have the pneumonia. The pneumonia is ours. And so we are the right people to be talking about how to prevent pneumonia and keep our children healthy.
Okay, okay. Wow. Thank you very much, Dr. Wadri, for that insight. I mean, so when you say sub-Saharan Africa, you mean so Ghana, Nigeria,
Ghana,
Togo.
Nigeria, yes.
So it means that we really have to take this up and do something about it. Yes, because like you stated, it's taking the lives of a lot of children, and it's important that we because we do not have the health facilities to manage, then our focus should be prevention so that we don't get there where we have to now see how we can manage these cases in our hospital. So um before we go on, I just want to find out there are some myths. I've heard a lot about pneumonia, and I just want you to clarify, even for me and the audience. I've heard of cold water causing pneumonia. I've heard of the ceiling fan and then the AC. Can you just, because as parents, these are the questions I some of my colleagues asked that they would like to know. They first of all want to know if it is true, then they will know what to do about it. Yes.
But you have started off by saying it's a myth. So I believe you, it is a myth. I believe you that it is a myth. You see, pneumonia is caused by germs.
Okay.
And the germ, most of the time, we breathe it in. The germs that cause pneumonia, most of the time, we breathe those germs in.
Okay.
So those are the things that cause pneumonia. A few times you don't breathe it in. Maybe you have an overwhelming infection somewhere in your body and it goes into the bloodstream. And as the lung also receives blood from your body, then you can get a pneumonia from there. But most of the time, we
Okay.
breathe in the germs that cause pneumonia.
Okay.
So it is not the water that we drink, whether it is hot or cold.
Okay.
It just happens that when you have a pneumonia, usually
Okay.
you have maybe a cold or a stuffy nose, and when you drink hot water, you feel better because your nose opens up a bit.
Okay.
But that has nothing to do with the causation of pneumonia. Pneumonia is not caused by water, whether it is hot or cold.
Okay.
Ceiling fans do not cause pneumonia,
Okay.
but there is a but.
Okay.
You see, I said pneumonia is caused by germs. The
Yes.
ceiling fan is blowing in the room, so
Okay.
it is moving the air around.
Okay.
And the germs are in the air most of the time because we need to breathe it in.
Okay.
Sometimes our ceiling fans are dirty and there's so much dust on it, and germs settle in the dust. And as the ceiling fan blows, the dust gets, blown around. And so that's in that thinking, you could get a pneumonia from a ceiling fan. But if you have a clean ceiling fan, it will not give you a pneumonia. Just
Okay.
related to the ceiling fan is the air conditioner.
Okay.
Lots of people say that the children should not, especially the babies, they should not be in air conditioners because they can get a pneumonia from there. That is not true. If it were true, every child in a cold country will have pneumonia every single day. But that
Yeah.
is not, it is caused by germs. When
Okay.
you do not service your air conditioner, then that is a risk factor because again things stay there, they grow there,
Okay.
and so it's sort of staying in the room and circulating, and your child can breathe it in. But
Okay.
an air conditioner that is working perfectly, that you service and you clean, will not give you a pneumonia.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Wodi. I'm sure our audience are super excited and happy with this explanation
So
that
somebody has responded to you, and I've got a question. um I will just read the question and answer. Molemetopedi said this one. She says, thanks for asking that question, Belinda. I was about to ask same because growing up, we were told pneumonia is caused by cold weather. So I was about to ask Doc why and how and why sub-Saharan Africa has higher cases of pneumonia. So the reason we have higher cases of pneumonia, I think Senna has alluded to it a bit. So let's look at our environment. It's germs that cause pneumonia. So wherever there is poor sanitation, pneumonia thrives.
Okay.
So part of the reason we have very high rates of pneumonia is related to our poor sanitation, our environment. When our gutters are choked, germs sit there and they flourish and
Okay.
they blow.
Okay.
So the cleaner your environment, then the less likely it is that you get a pneumonia.
Okay.
And the ability to recognize that your child needs help and take to hospital is often related to how much money you earn, which is also sometimes related to how much education you have.
Okay.
So sometimes our parents either are unable to determine that their children are sick and need help,
Okay.
or they determine it, but the care that they seek for
Mm.
their children is not appropriate.
Okay.
Sometimes it's because they have no money to go to hospital.
Okay.
Or sometimes because they've been to hospital once and the nurse or doctor was so rude, they don't want to go again. Or they go there and they wait the whole day, they don't want to go again. So all those sort of things. And those are the conditions that are prevalent in sub-Saharan Africa. We are poor. A lot of our environments are not clean.
Yeah.
It's a long distance to health facilities. We don't have money to go. And when we go, the queues are long. The nurses and doctors are overworked and stressed, and so a few bad nuts are very rude because of that.
Okay.
Medicines that are prescribed may not be of good quality because there's no money, so we tend to settle on the cheap ones,
Okay.
and so on. So these are the factors that are prevalent in sub-Saharan Africa, and that is why we have high rates of pneumonia, high deaths from pneumonia as well.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Wadwi, for that explanation. It's made clear to us. So I want to ask, how do we prevent this? Do I call it a mini pandemic in our region? I mean, how do we prevent pneumonia? Where do we start from? Where do we start from?
So the good thing about pneumonia is that there are many steps along the way where you can intervene.
Okay,
So you may not even get all the steps correct, but there is always something you can do about pneumonia.
okay,
So you start taking care of your child's lungs from the time your child is in the womb.
okay.
That is when you start taking care of your child's lungs. Because if the lungs are healthy, sometimes even when they come into contact with germs, the germs are not able to overpower it as much as if the lung already is not healthy.
Mm,
So, how can you take care of your child's lung in the womb? One of the things that's it's not really prevalent in, say, my part of sub-Saharan Africa, but it's prevalent in other parts, is smoking. There are pregnant women who smoke or who live with partners who smoke or go to places where they smoke. So the smoking, the pregnant woman can be smoking herself or it can be secondhand smoke. You are just inhaling the smoke that somebody is smoking. Both of them are equally bad for the baby in the womb. The baby's lungs are affected even while in your womb because you are breathing in cigarette smoke. Now we also have vaping. The same thing. People think that vaping is cleaner and is less dangerous than cigarette smoke. It's probably even more dangerous than cigarette smoke. And
okay.
so those are some of the ways. Another way you can take care of your baby's lung developing is to ensure that your baby stays in the womb as long as possible until your pregnancy is at 10. Because one of the things that puts babies at risk of pneumonia is prematurity. And as a pregnant woman, there are sometimes there's nothing that you can do. Preterm babies, no matter what we do, a few babies unfortunately will be born preterm. But again, there's a lot you can do. As a pregnant woman, you eat well, you rest well, you attend antenatal care, you keep your environment clean so that you don't fall sick. Because usually the mothers fall sick, then they go into labor and it's not time and the baby is born. Aside other things like hypertension that causes the obstetricians and midwives to try and intervene. Yeah, so then you start taking care of your baby in the womb.
Okay.
So now baby is born. What can you do? There comes my favorite topic of all, breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is very, very important. It is not only food for the baby, it is medicine for the baby.
Okay.
I know a lot of people who will say, me, if you give me tablets, I won't swallow. But if you say I should go and drink a herb, I will drink a herb. These are the people who, because this medicine is natural, breastfeeding contains lots of medicines to protect your baby from germs that cause pneumonia. If you breastfeed your baby appropriately, which means 6 months of exclusive breastfeeding, and then you wean and continue to breastfeed, those babies rarely get pneumonia. So then, breastfeeding your baby. Immunizations. Now, we've made a lot of stride in immunization. In fact, where I am now, I'm in Cape Town and I'm always so proud that I'm Ghanaian because our immunization rates are one of the highest in Africa. But now what is happening is that as we go to more school, we go on the internet more. Now parents are saying they don't want to immunize their children because it does this, does that, does this. A lot of the claims are not true. Next to breastfeeding, immunization is one thing that has kept our babies alive. And the things that cause pneumonia, most of them you prevent them from either breastfeeding or breastfeeding with immunization. So that's another thing that we can do for preventing of pneumonia. The sad thing about immunization is that you, Senna, may immunize your baby, and I choose not to immunize my baby. It's not only my baby that is affected by not getting immunized. Your baby who is immunized is also affected just because my baby hasn't immunized. So that is how the mechanism is. So we should encourage everybody. It's not only your child. People should get immunized because it really works. It has been proven that it works. So we should immunize our children. Then hygiene, especially for the little babies. When you have a little baby and the baby is so small and so the baby's ability to fight germs is not well developed, that is not a baby that the whole world should be visiting, frankly speaking. Because somebody is sneezing and they visit you and they sneeze on your baby. Somebody has a cold and they've just used their handkerchief to blow their nose and they haven't washed their hands. Oh, baby is so cute. Then they touch your baby, So hygiene, hand hygiene. If you're going to touch my baby, you have to sanitize your hands. It's as simple as that. I
What
will
I
tell
would
you
do in our
that.
setting, is that
Yes.
possible?
So it's about how you explain it. Say that the baby is so small and there are germs all over. If you don't want to talk, let your baby grow a bit before.
It's a difficult situation in our setting. I'm sure the viewers would agree with me. Maybe you can take us to how best to say this in our various homes, because the extended family is coming to visit as soon as a baby is born. And when you tell someone that they should sanitize, they take offense in a way that so what would you say to
So
our
I
viewers
think
in
it
terms
comes with education because all those people who are visiting, they are visiting because they love you and your baby, right? And they are babies, their baby as well, and they love the baby. So I think it comes with education. If you know that the fact that you have a cold can put that newborn baby in a hospital, if you really understand, then you wouldn't go. You would give the excuse that you have a cold. If you really understand, then nobody will even have to ask you. But you, mommy, just put some sanitizer there. You don't even have to say it. Let them see the sanitizer prominently.
They'll
But
know what
really,
to
it
do.
comes with education. If I understand that I can put my niece or nephew at risk just because I have a cold, I think out of love, I would do that. So it's education.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Please, audience, remember to share the link, get involved, ask questions. Let's get interactive. Let's share knowledge. Yes, and you can also make your inputs in the comment section. So let's share the link and then let's continue with what we are doing. Yes, yes.
So we have another question. Does pneumonia destroy our immune system such that it makes it possible for other diseases to affect us? Yes, it does. If you are ill already, then it makes it possible for other germs to overpower you because your soldiers are all either occupied fighting another disease or that disease has even overpowered your soldiers. So at that moment, you are so vulnerable. Yes, a classic example is malaria. A lot of children have malaria. The next thing you realize is that they have a pneumonia. The same thing with pneumonia. The child has a pneumonia and is been so down. And sometimes it may not even be because the immune system has been weakened. It may just be because the child is so sick, they are not eating. So they don't have the strength to fight anything else. They are not drinking or they are vomiting. So they are so dehydrated, they are weak, they can't fight anything else. Even if the soldiers, which is the immune system, is up and running, because there's no energy, everything is slow. And yes, so pneumonia will put you even at risk of further pneumonia. This may be a difficult concept to understand, but what it is that in very small children, most children under 5 years, their pneumonia is caused by viruses. And
Mm,
viruses, normally we don't need to give antibiotics for them because the body is able to fight viruses. But what
okay.
happens is that once the child is down with the virus, then stronger germs called bacteria now come in. So just the fact that you have a pneumonia, you can get another pneumonia on top. So you had a pneumonia at first caused by a virus, but
Okay.
your immune system is weakened, child is not eating, child is vomiting, and nurse hasn't put up a drip and all those things. By the time you realize, then the child gets a bacterial infection in addition to that. So this is a very good question. I mean, this is the explanation, but I haven't had anyone ask me and I haven't, thought about it this way before. So thank you for your question.
Okay. 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 So that's how you can pick up from where you left us. You talked about hygiene in babies. So now the children are growing. They've started school. They are playing. They are moving around, touching things. What can we do for the school going age, this age of kids between from 3 upwards? Yes, what can we do to help them in terms of prevention?
So that age becomes quite important because the children they mingle childhood, so you cannot prevent it. In class, they share everything. One color goes round, it goes into somebody's nose, then it goes into somebody's mouth, the
Somebody's mom.
ear, before it comes to another person's nose. So at that age, it's very, very a parent can do, which is extremely difficult because I am a parent and I've had small children, or I even have small children, is that when your child has a cough and cold, don't let them go to school. Because just by going to school, you are sharing it with the other 15, 20, 30 children. There is no way you are not going to share it. You are going to share it because that's how children are. They play together. In fact, we even encourage the playing together because it's part of development. So when your child has a cold, is not feeling well, your child should stay at home. Very, very, very difficult. As a parent, you alone cannot do this because it depends on whether your employer is happy for you to take a day off because your child has a cold. And mind you, your child is going to have many colds, one cold.
Yes. Yes.
So this is very difficult. Again, it comes with understanding. See, it's quite difficult. And there are some when you take pertussis, whooping cough,
Okay.
as for pertussis, when even a child gets in the class, the whole class is supposed to take some medicine to prevent it because it's almost like 100%. Once a child gets pertussis in the class, the whole class is going to get it.
Wow.
So these are the reasons why when your child is sick, ideally, including myself, that child should not go to school.
But
But
that's
like I
not
said, it
the
depends
case.
on many other things. You
Okay.
understand? Yeah.
But that's
And
all.
then, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's it's highly impossible because you may keep your child out of school, but now the argument we make is that the other parents bring their kids anyway. So if my child is unwell and has a cough or a cold, my child will still go to school because they come with it every week, every single week. So and you know, as certain you are not going to get the excuse you need to stay at home. What should we do as
So that's
caregivers?
why we need to be having these conversations. Um, the more people understand, the better it gets. Truly, it's very difficult. I know. Sometimes, even if you get the excuse duty with it, even when you are holding it, you still need to go to work because you feel like a lot depends on you. So that's why we need to have these conversations. Yes, there's a question waiting for me, but before, so from keeping your child who is sick at home, the next thing to do is that you have to build your child's immunity.
Okay.
Children have very weak immunities, even the healthiest children, because the immunity is also growing as the child grows.
Okay.
So you need to build your child's immunity. How do we build our child's immunity? The first thing is nutrition. Once they are no more breastfeeding, then they have lost that advantage from breastfeeding. Is nutrition. What is your child eating? Life has become so fast paced that when we are thinking about food for our children, we are thinking about what can I give them that I don't have to prepare myself. I don't have to wash it and cut it. So we go for what is most convenient. So usually for snack, we are talking about drinks and biscuits, those sort of things. But
Guilty. I am guilty.
but what is the effect of all these on our children? They are not getting the right nutrition. Your immune system is working well when you get the energy. As for the energy, we all do well. As long as the child is not sick, they get a lot of energy from their carbohydrates they are eating, the oils, and so on. But when it comes to the micronutrients, that is where we don't do well. Those ones you find in fruits and vegetables. That is where the problem lies. So instead of giving your child a drink or biscuits to take to school, you could give your child a fruit.
Okay.
It's a very good way to protect your child because you know that the next child who has a cold is going to come. So you
Okay.
should give your child a fruit to take to school.
Okay.
I even know schools where now they don't permit parents to bring their own snack. The
Yeah.
snack is on the menu and it is fruit, and that is very good. I really applaud those proprietresses or proprietors or whoever is in charge. I really applaud them because one thing about children is that when somebody is drinking drink and you give your child an orange or an apple or pineapple, they won't because
Yeah.
drink is sweet and it's less work and somebody is drinking drink.
Exactly.
But as long as everybody is eating the same thing, then it works very well. So if you are a school owner and you are on the chat, think about it. It's your contribution to the growth of your nation because when children don't fall sick, they don't go to hospital, they don't overburden everything. So maybe touch wood, you'll be sick, and when you go, there are fewer people and they can attend to you early. So these are
Okay.
the simple things that we can do. So build your child's immunity. I've
Okay.
talked about fruits and
Yes.
vegetables. Vegetables very hard. If you don't have some tactics to present it in a way that they like,
They won't
they
eat
won't.
it. Yes.
Then one thing I should say when I'm talking about food, is that now these convenience foods, what are they doing to our children? They are making them overweight. And a child who is overweight is more at risk of pneumonia than a child who is of adequate weight. And a child who is overweight, usually they don't sleep well, they snore. And that snoring affects their lungs, affects their heart. So it's like the lung is a bit sick already before germs come. So that's another thing when it comes to food for you to be aware of.
Okay.
And exercise. If you
Hmm.
exercise, your lungs grow, your lungs become active. Even in hospital, there are people whose lungs are destroyed. One of the ways we rehabilitate the lung is exercise. You take them, you train them slowly, slowly, and build on their endurance and so on. The lung must exercise to grow.
Okay.
Children need to run around. Children, now we are all sitting too much. I'm sitting too much, but it's even worse when you come to the children.
Yeah.
They are just sitting. They are doing homework, or they are watching TV, or they are
Mm.
playing games on the computer. They are
Mm.
watching cartoons. They are just sitting. It's not right.
Okay.
We are heading into a pandemic where our children, before we had a problem with children being too small. Now
Yes.
the problem is two.
Too big.
Call it a double burden. We have more nourished children and we have overnourished children. Usually, those overnourished children are even overnourished only in carbohydrates. They are not even getting the vitamins and minerals. They become fat. It's not good. We should encourage our children to develop their lungs by exercise. As the children are running around, they are blowing balloons and so on. They are exercising their lungs, and it makes the lungs strong, ready for a rainy day. The lung can stand and take any insult. And even when they get sick, it doesn't leave lasting effects on the lung. That's another thing.
Okay.
So there's this question I wanted to take for a long time. It is asking me, are there types of are there types of pneumonia? And why are you apologizing for plenty questions? We want you to ask questions. If you don't ask questions, it becomes so boring.
Please ask questions. Ask your questions about pneumonia. We are
Yes,
we are ready to answer all of them.
there are types of pneumonia, but fortunately for us, the prevention methods they run through. What protects a child from one pneumonia will protect a child from another type of pneumonia. But yes, definitely there are types of pneumonia. Sometimes we classify them based on what is causing the pneumonia.
Okay.
So is it viruses? Is it bacteria? Sometimes we classify them based on whether the person had a good immune system already. We call those
Mm.
immunocompetent people, and then immunocompromised people. Sometimes we classify them based on that. Sometimes we classify them based on what you see on X-ray as
Okay.
well. And
Okay.
sometimes we classify them based on whether the person needs oxygen or not.
Okay.
Yes, but so there are types, but luckily for us, the preventive measures run through. So
Okay.
yeah, I that's what it is. And Maunya is commending us. I believe she's commending you. It's a she, eh? Yes, Maunya. And then Luga, thank you so much for joining us as
Okay.
well.
Okay. So, Dr. Wadri, you talked about coughs and cold. Um, should we be worried when our children have a cough and a cold? We are talking prevention, so we don't. Could coughs and colds, if not treated, lead to pneumonia? So that as caregivers and parents, when our children have a cough, a cold, when should we start getting worried? Is it possible that an upper respiratory infection can move down if not treated to cause a pneumonia? How should we go about it, managing our coughs and colds?
Okay. Um, I'm so happy that you took your time to really expand this question, because the first part you asked was a trick question and I was not happy.
Okay.
Yes, so coughs and colds, do they cause pneumonia? The answer is yes, but I don't want to leave it at yes. That's what I'm saying. I'm happy you asked.
Okay.
Like I said, pneumonia, we breathe it in.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's in the upper part of our breathing apparatus or breathing things. So sometimes it's in our nose, the back of the nose, where the nose joins the throat, in our throat. Sometimes it's just there. And then sometimes it goes downwards to cause a pneumonia. Luckily for us, most of the coughs and colds, they stay up here. They don't go into the lungs, luckily for us.
Mm.
And most of the coughs and colds are caused by the germs called viruses,
Okay.
which, again, thankfully, we don't need to treat with antibiotics. Antibiotics don't work against them, first of all. So it's a waste of money, and you are spoiling the antibiotic and you are creating side effects for the child. And the fact that you are spoiling the antibiotic is very bad, because the day you need it, it won't work.
Yeah.
So, luckily for us, most of the coughs and colds are upper respiratory tract infections. They stay in the upper part of our breathing apparatus. They don't go to the lungs. The lungs are down. The lungs are actually the end of the breathing apparatus.
Okay.
So, when should you get worried? Of course, every parent is worried when their child gets a cough and cold, because then they don't eat well, they don't play, they are miserable, they are hot. But what you need to understand is that this one, the body will fight it. And so you just need to make sure that your child eats and drinks. The drinks is very important. The child eats and drink water or juice that you have made at home. You know, when you make it yourself, it contains all the nutrients. As
Okay.
against, I'm not against anyone's business, so, but when you make it, it's
Yeah.
actually
All
usually
that.
not the same as when you buy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure when your child has a cough and cold that they are eating and drinking. If they can't eat, at least they should drink. A lot of them will have pain at the back of their throat, so they won't want to swallow because it's painful, but at least they should drink.
Okay.
And then you need to give them tender loving care. You need to, oh please, I beg, just drink a little, you know. Then they go and come, oh please drink a little, that sort of thing. And it helps them to fight the upper respiratory tract infection.
Okay.
um so what you really need to worry about is whether my child is drinking and whether my child is hot, because when they are so hot you don't do anything, they can convulse. That's febrile convulsion. Yeah, so basically all you need to worry about is, are they hot and are
Okay.
they able to drink? Once
Mm.
you sort those ones out, you don't need to worry. Mostly the body is going to fight it.
Okay.
um so there are a few that will go down to the chest, the lungs. How
Okay.
do you know those ones? Those are the ones where your child finds it difficult to breathe. Then you must worry and go to hospital with that child. You are worried already, but then now you must go to hospital. When your child finds it difficult to breathe and you
Okay.
look at their chests and you see their chests moving in and out as they breathe. Normally, when we are breathing, our chest is somehow quiet. You don't see a lot of effort on the chest. But when your child is breathing now and there's a lot of effort, some parts between the ribs going in and out, then
Okay.
your child is in trouble. You need to go to hospital.
Mm.
Or when your child is not drinking anything at all, no matter what you do, your child is not drinking. You must go to hospital because that child needs a drip. So you must go to hospital.
Okay.
Or your child is vomiting everything. Child
Okay.
needs a drip. Child must go to hospital.
Okay.
Sometimes they are breathing and it is so noisy. But you see, when I say noisy, there's always a note of caution. Sometimes it's just the nose that is blocked and the noise is coming from there. So what you need to do is to unblock the nose, you know. Traditionally, what we do is we put our mouth on the nose and suck it. It's very, very good suction. It is excellent suction. The only side effect is that whatever your child has got, you're going to get it because you are taking it. But it's very good suction. So you need to
Sure.
unblock the nose. There are small equipments for doing that in the pharmacy as well. But
Okay.
I maintain that putting your mouth on the nose is the best suction ever. So you can use those things to suction the nose, or hot towel, warm, then you put it there and the child breathes in, and then the moisture makes it loosens the whatever is in the nose, and you can encourage the child to blow. Or
Okay.
sometimes you can put a bit of the towel there and then you remove the dried mucus that is there and so on, and then the child feels free. And
Okay.
when your child begins to turn dark or blue, the very fair babies will turn blue, or children will turn blue, and the darker ones, they turn darker. You can see it better on their lips and their tongue. When your child turns darker,
Yeah.
the child must go to hospital. Yes, I was talking about noisy breathing. So when you open your child, you are sure the nose is cleared and this child is still breathing noisily. The child must go to hospital.
Okay. Okay.
So um cough on its own is a
Okay.
way to protect the lungs.
Okay.
There are children in my work who cannot cough, and it's a big problem. Sometimes we have to get machines that help them to cough. So, cough is a way of protecting the lungs. What does the cough do? The germs that you breathe in, they get trapped in the airway.
Okay.
And when you cough, you bring them out. Children actually don't bring them out, they will swallow it, but there's acid in the stomach and it kills all those things. So, you don't have to worry that they swallow it, but they must cough. So
Okay.
sometimes parents are in a hurry to make sure that the cough stops. It is
Mm.
wrong. A
Okay.
child who doesn't cough will get more pneumonias. And if you don't cough, you can't cough at all. It's a serious problem. So
Okay.
we are often in a hurry to stop our children from coughing. It is not right.
Mm. Mm.
Sometimes the cough is so bad in the night that they cannot sleep. And then because they can't sleep, you also can't sleep.
Okay.
Well, then you may want to do something about it. But generally, you should not be in a hurry to suppress a cough
Mm.
unless the doctor says that this cough must be suppressed because the cough itself is harming the child. But those are special situations, not
Okay.
the cough and cold that we have. And then you say your child must get a cough syrup. It is wrong. Unfortunately, it's so prevalent. We do it. So the cough is not a problem. The problem is what is causing the cough. And sometimes you keep suppressing the cough, and there is something very, very, how do I call it? Very devilish causing the cough. Very malicious or bad causing the cough. And all our attention is on suppressing the cough. And that thing is there. It can't come out
Can't come
because
out.
you are preventing your child from coughing. So that is very, very bad. Don't be in a hurry to stop the cough. Your child is coughing, but that same child is running around, is eating, is playing, is able to sleep. Don't worry, let your child cough. Of course, when does it become too much? There are also situations when it becomes too much, but I don't think that's the focus, unless somebody really wants to know. So
Sure.
let's not be in a hurry to suppress the cough.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Did I digress or I actually answered your question?
You answered my question perfectly, Dr. Wadri. I'm sure a lot of parents have some really hearing what you just talked about, especially with the cough and the cold and everything. So from what you said, it means that we should just do the conservative management of what we can, give them more fruits, more drinks, and just manage so that the virus, the body will fight it off itself. You should only get concerned when the child is vomiting, like you said, has fast breathing and all that. Yes. So thank you very much. Please share the link, ask questions. We would answer them for you. If not now, we can always we'll always post the answers for you. Just how would you I want to ask about the vaccination you talked about. Apart from the ones we get with the immunization, I know there are others. They have other types they give. So is it advisable that I walk to, let's say, any of the top hospitals and request for the extra vaccines on pneumonia to be given to my child, especially for sickle cell patients, when you advocate that they should get the pneumonia vaccines? Is it a good preventive method, or we should allow the children to just build immunity on their own?
So thank you so much for that very, very important question. But before that, there are some friends of yours here. I know they are your friends. Abigail says you are doing a great job. Remain blessed.
Thank you.
The cough suppression we were talking about, she's just laughing at us, like finding it amusing. Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much, Abigail and Maunya, for your interaction with us. So, news in developed countries, we actually even test whether your child is protected by that vaccine in certain clinical situations. When I get a child who keeps coming with pneumonia, one of the things I need to think about is, I mean, not one pneumonia, then after a few months, pneumonia, after a few months, pneumonia. I need to ask myself, did this child get the immunizations? If the answer is yes, have these immunizations actually protected this child? And I go and test the vaccine responses. You see, why when we are poor, we get more pneumonia. Because most of our vaccines are not 100% effective. And some of them actually need boosters, which means another dose given much later.
Mm,
So some of them, lots of them are not 100% effective. So not
okay.
every child will get the maximum protection from the vaccine. And
Okay.
sometimes too, they get it, but it declines as they grow. So
Okay.
one of the things you should worry about if your child is getting pneumonia, is this child immunized? If yes, is this child actually protected? So you go and test in the child's blood
Okay.
the response of the child to the vaccine. If it's inadequate, you need to repeat that vaccine for the child. And
Okay.
yes, there are, when in our environment, sickle cell disease is one of the common reasons why children may get pneumonia as
Mm,
well. So when we
mm,
think about vaccines, special populations, we are thinking about sickle cell. But
mm.
ideally, there are other special populations, and you should ensure that they have the vaccine. Now, when we started immunizing for pneumococcus, which is one of the bad bacteria. This one is a bacteria, not a virus. One of the bad bacteria that causes pneumonia. In Ghana, we started immunizing in 2012.
Okay.
So children born before 2012 will not have had that vaccine.
Okay.
And the 2012, even when we took off, it was not every health facility, community health center that took off at the same time.
Okay.
So children born before 2012 in Ghana will not have had that protection. So
Okay.
yes, if you see a child who falls in a special category and that child is born after 2012, you need to make sure that that child gets that vaccine, the pneumococcal vaccine. But beyond that, even a child who has got it and is still coming with pneumonia, you need to ask yourself, because a lot of things can even happen to the vaccine. Ideal situation, the vaccines are not 100% effective. But
Yes.
the vaccines pass through so many things. They come on a plane, like we saw the last time. Then they go into some this thing, they go some eye chairs, they go into some fridge. What if
Yeah.
those what happen? You know, so all those things come into play. So you need to ask yourself, is the vaccine working? You check in the
Okay.
child's blood. So this is a very important question you brought to the fore, and I'm happy that it has come to the fore. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I
Okay.
take a question? This
Yes.
question is one I was hoping nobody would ask. Up to how long should you consider a cough normal? After how
Okay.
long should you seek medical attention? Luga,
Okay.
thank you for the question. Even though I was hoping no one would ask. So there is an old saying that if you treat a cough, it will last for 2 weeks. If you don't treat a cough, it will last for 14 days, which means that whether you treat it or you don't treat it to allow 2 weeks. Um, in in I would say 2 weeks, okay, but depending on the situation you bring to me as a doctor,
Okay.
your child could cough for 2 weeks or beyond 2 weeks, and you bring to me as a doctor, and I'll still say, don't worry.
Okay.
Yes, so I would say 2 weeks, but that 2 weeks is not, it changes depending on situation. So a child can cough for 3 weeks and you bring to me, and I will still tell you, don't worry. And
Okay.
some coughs, like whooping cough is called a 100-day cough.
Okay.
So if I have tested and this child has a whooping cough, I'll still say, once the child is fine, don't worry.
Okay.
Sometimes we say that the cough, whatever caused the cough has gone, but the irritation that was caused in the throat is still there, and then they tend to cough a little more. So when I see somebody and I'm certain that that is the case at 3 weeks, I can tell you not to worry. At 4 weeks, I can tell you not to worry. So that
Okay.
means that this child is otherwise well. That is why at a certain, I think 2 weeks is the answer, because after 2 weeks, let the doctor see, and the doctor can tell you that nothing is the problem. Another thing we should worry about when it comes to coughs, that is not pneumonia, but it can cause pneumonia in the long run, is when children inhale things that should not be in their airway ends up in their airway, like a
Okay.
piece of whistle. Since I've started removing things from children's airways, I've realized that a piece of whistle is a very common culprit. I never thought about it when I was in Ghana. So Ghana, we are thinking about groundnuts and those things that get stuck. They just cough and cough and cough and cough. They are fine, but they cough so much, and sometimes depending on your abilities, you may be able to tell that there's something in the airway.
Mm.
A foreign body, something foreign in the airway. But piece
Okay.
of whistle, I've started seeing piece of whistle a lot. Whenever
Mm.
we go and remove something from a child, it's piece of whistle. So those are the things too. So you should ask your child, did you accidentally swallow something? Those sort of things as well. Yeah. And when your
Okay.
child is so small, like children who are less than 3, don't give them granules to chew. Most of the time, the whole granite, it just gets stuck in their throat. And
Okay.
sometimes it actually goes into the lungs, then it can cause pneumonia, and that's also not good. Yeah, so I think 2 weeks is the answer to this question. Hey, I can talk. Oh.
Wow, that's how old we. I mean, it's been very insightful. It's been very insightful. So we'll be rounding up. We are rounding up soon. I just want you to give us your final thoughts on all this. Give us a brief wrap up of everything that you've said, and maybe if there's something else you want to chip in, just wrap it up for us so that we can end the session for today. Yes, please.
Yeah, so Thank you, everybody, for. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and it's been such an interactive session. And my closing thoughts on pneumonia are that it's very important that we know it as one of the things that take our children to hospital, get them admitted, and kill them.
Okay.
And we don't want our children to die. Carrying a pregnancy for 9 months is hard work, and we
Yeah.
don't want our children to die. We need to
Mm.
protect them from pneumonia. And this protection starts right from when your child is in the womb.
Okay.
You don't wait to give birth to your child before you start protecting the child's lungs. And your lung must last you a lifetime. Your child's lung must last your child a lifetime.
Mm.
Anytime a child is admitted with pneumonia, a small scar is left on the lung. The next pneumonia, a small scar is left on the lung. The next pneumonia, a small scar. So the lung gets getting scars.
Okay.
As children are growing, the lungs will also grow. So a lot of times, as long as it's just 1 or 2 episodes, the lungs grow well and that scar has no problem. But where your child is not growing well,
Okay.
because of other things, maybe frequent infections or even frequent pneumonia itself. Because when they get pneumonia, then they don't eat, then they don't grow, they lose weight. Where all these things are not happening, those scars over time they add up and they prevent the lung from working well. And the lung that's supposed to last your child a lifetime won't last your child a lifetime. And
Mm.
then your child's life, adult life, becomes shortened. And sometimes we don't understand. We say it's the juju, it's the something and the something. So yes,
Mm.
in other environments, they do lung transplants. There are children alive and well on hormone ventilators. There are children alive and well on hormone oxygen. They take it to school and the ventilator as well. They take it to school, they come back. We don't have these facilities. That is why what you said in the beginning is very important. Our efforts should be focused towards preventing of pneumonia.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Thank you so much. Do we have any questions from anyone?
No, we don't have any more questions in the comments.
Okay, okay. So to our viewers, we would like to say thank you for joining us today. You can still post your questions. Baby Child and Co is on YouTube. It's on Facebook. It's on
So
LinkedIn.
subscribe, oh, subscribe.
Yes, so please subscribe. If you have questions, you can ask, and Dr. Wadu will address them directly. Yes, she would always come and answer your questions. So please ask questions. What we've done today, you can share it. Still share it with your friends so that they can listen and benefit from it. And join us for our next session. We are going to talk about something very interesting. So thank you to our viewers. Thank you so much, Dr. Wadu. It's been amazing having you in the hot seat.
Thank you to
And
our professional interviewer.
it's been good having you today. So we will do this again very soon. Yes, yes, yes. So thank you so much. If you have any closing remarks, you can put it in. Yes.
No, I'm just thankful that I've been able to do this, and I'm thankful to you. Uh, I think I should give up this role forever. I should have you. Thank you. Bye bye.
It's been good. So bye.